Well, this short video will tell you how to use the RegisterClick Caucus system. This is especially good for those who are volunteering to assist with the registration at the caucus meeting. So, the first thing you need to know is that you should follow the instructions from your party leaders. And I will give you the technical information, but anything about check-in policies or procedures, you should take your instructions from your party leaders as being more important than whatever I'm telling you here. But what you should do before the caucus meeting is download the app at least one day before caucus, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And you are, when we talk about the caucus check-in managers, that's you. You're people who are going to help us check in. Now, when you're at the caucus, you'll need to enter your county information, your precinct. All this information should come from your precinct chair, and there'll be a password that you're going to need. So download the meeting list for offline use in case the internet fails. You have to do this before you leave home just to make sure you have it on your system. Then when you're at the caucus, you can check in people just by typing in the last three letters of their name and their house number. It's very simple and fast. If you don't find the people, we do have a way of double checking with the Lieutenant Governor's website for anyone who has checked in recently or marked their voter record as private. I'll show you how to do that. And if you are doing offline check-ins after the meeting, you have to synchronize on the internet. If you are doing all online check-in, everything will be automatically uploaded during your check-in. So here's how you get the app. It's called RegisterClick Caucus. You can find it on Android or on iPhone just by searching in the store. So when you go to the screen, this is what you'll see. And the first thing you want to do is download for offline check-in. Now, just a reminder, you can play around with this like a week or two before the caucus. That's fine. But you'll want to make sure that you do this within a couple days of the caucus. We will have an updated list available, and we will have cleared out all the testing information. So about 2 days ahead of the caucus, do this download for offline check-in. Then you're going to have to enter your county. Hopefully you know that. Your precinct number. You should know that from your precinct chair. And there'll be a password. For testing, you can just use the password check-in. And make sure that you create a username. It can be any username you want. You should put your email and your phone number there. This will only be shared with the precinct chair or other party officers so they can contact you if there's any questions about the check-in that you did. After you proceed, then you'll get this progress bar as it downloads the voter records of your precinct. And once that is completed, it'll say, okay, we've got all the lists downloaded. Now return to the menu. Now you can check in at the caucus meeting. This is for now at the caucus meeting using the internet check-in or the offline check-in. So try the internet check-in. If it's working fine, then it's better to use that. If it's not working and you can't get a signal or there's some technology problem, then use the offline precinct check-in, and you can just upload the information later when you get back to home and you have a signal. So whichever way you use, the internet online or the offline check-in, the first screen you'll get is this one. It's very simple to check people in. You just enter the first few letters of their last name and their house number. So as they come up, you'll be sitting probably at a table. As they come up to the table, say, please show me your ID. And you get their name. You put in a few letters of their name. You get their house number from their address. And then you click on Find, and it'll give you all of the voters that are at that household. So you should be able to select the correct one because you're looking right at the ID already, right? So when you get this page, it tells you if that person is a registered Republican or some other party. So make sure you verify that. If they're Republican, they can participate. If not, then they can't. Also, turn the screen around. You should be doing this on a tablet. That's preferred. Not really a phone. It's too small. But just turn the screen around and ask them to update their contact information. we are only going to use the phone number for party purposes, and we're also not going to distribute their email address. So they can be assured that we're not going to give out their contact information, so they're not going to get spammed. If they're a delegate, though, of course, they must be able to be contacted by the candidates. Once you have them complete the contact information, then you're going to click on register and they're done. Now, you must ask them to sign the roster. Every technology can fail, and you must have a paper backup system. So your paper backup for the registration is having them sign the roster. And then if your precinct uses voting credentials, then give them their voting credential. This is the example of the roster that you should use. You're not going to look up their name on a list. That takes too long. That's the whole purpose of this, is to not take so long. We want to get people in the meeting quickly, have them enjoy it, and not have to stand in line. We want to start the meeting on time, so we want to register people quickly. So we're not going to look up their name on a list. That's why we have the app. So you just have the first person sign number 1, the next person sign number 2, and so on. So it just takes about 2 seconds for them to sign their name and put in their name. And you can get this form on the RegisterClick.com website. If you log in your account and get under Caucus Tools, the registration mobile app, or ask your precinct chair to provide you with these forms. Once you do that, you'll go back to this screen and you just keep doing it. You just put in the last name and the house number, click find, you register. You do another one, you register. You do another one, you register. Now, a couple things that might be unusual. First of all, we have something called pre-registration. Pre-registration people have already done something online, so they don't have to stand in line. They don't have to even enter things into your app. Probably you should have another person who's only doing pre-registration people, but if someone who's pre-registered comes to your line, this is what you do. They just will show you a ticket and their ID. You don't need to look them up. You don't need to sign them in. Well, except for, I'll show you here. You just compare the ID to the ticket, and they've already gone online and identified themselves. Now, they may have a paper ticket. If they do, you just keep that as your paper backup. Remember, we always need to have a paper backup. And if the ticket is on the mobile phone, and they just show you their ticket and their ID, then you have them sign the roster, and that's for your paper backup. And, of course, give them voting credential if your precinct is using that. This is what the ticket looks like, whether it is printed out on paper or if it is on the mobile app. This is how it looks. You should be able to spot it. Now, there's another thing that can happen, which is after you click find, you may get this message. No voters were found in the precinct matching this information. So this means that somebody is not on the list that we received from the state. There could be a couple reasons for this. One is they registered just recently, and we got a list about 2 weeks in advance, or they may have marked their voter record as private and they won't show up on our list. Now, I suggest that you have a separate table to handle these not found voters, because they may need to fill out a voter registration form, so you don't want to hold up the line. Just have another table for that, and if anybody gets this message, you send them over to another table, and the other table will click on the bottom of the screen that says add voters, and then the person will be filling this in. You see, it takes a lot more time, so that's why you don't want to do this at every registration line. They have to put this information in, and then the computer system will actually contact the Lieutenant Governor's voter registration database and see if the person is actually currently listed. A message will come up and tell you whether the person is registered and can participate, in which case you have them sign the roster and give them a voting credential. Remember, we always need that paper backup. Or you may be required to have them fill out a voter registration form and sign it, and in that case, that's your paper backup. You don't need any other additional signatures. Now, if you have done offline check-in, you will see something like this. Records downloaded, a number, and then a number of records registered. That's only the records registered on this device. So you will need to click log out and then click on synchronize offline check-in. and then you'll be able to upload everybody that you checked in will upload. So regarding how to test this app, anything you want to do, you can do it until about 4 days before the caucus. Everything that you do will be erased up to 4 days before the caucus, and then it'll be live. So anybody that you check in, or any information that you add to the voters, whatever, that will be disregarded once you reach about 4 days before caucus. So after that, consider the system to be live. If you need any additional help, contact support at serendipitous.com. Also on voterclick.com, there's a live chat, which is mainly for support of the website, but you can ask mobile app questions there.